Good afternoon. I pray that your Thursday was filled with spaces and places of joy, of peace, of happiness, that you found some time to be content, to some time not to be anxious, some time not to be depressed, even if that was only for an hour or 20 minutes, but that you carved out some time where you felt good and you weren't concerned about all the extraneous stuff that's going on in the world. I just came back from what turned out to be an afternoon walk, and it was interesting because it was drizzling, it's not that warm, but it was still pleasant. And this message came to me that I'm going to share with you. And the message is you have to know it. Sometimes you have to know it for yourself. There are some things that people can't tell us. There's some things that people can't teach us. There's some things that, in spite of whatever messages you've gotten, you've got to know it for yourself. You know, the first example that comes to mind is when you have toddlers or little children and you tell them, don't touch that hot stove or you'll burn yourself. And 9 times out of 10, they've heard you say it and they touch it anyway because they got to know it for themselves. Your words were just words to them. Your words did not matter to them. They wanted to experience it for themselves. And another phrase is, experience can be the best teacher. This is also true a lot of times if you know someone who's in a domestic violence situation or you're the one who's in it, and people may have told you, you need to leave. This is not healthy for you. You're going to end up in the hospital. You may end up dead. But you stay or you keep coming back until something happens. Something happens. And then when that thing happens, you are clear and you know it for yourself. You know that you know that you know that I'm done. It's time for me to do something about that. The same thing happened with my addiction. I knew that I was drinking too much. I knew that I was drugging too much. I knew that. People had told me that. But even though I knew it on an intellectual level, I had not embraced it on a spiritual or soul level. But when I did, when I knew it for myself, when that spark ignited, that shifted my relationship with addictive chemicals and things that change your mood. And so I want you to think about how you learn, and how we are trying to attempt to raise our children or how we're attempting to try to help somebody else. Sometimes we feel like we're wasting our time. We feel like we talk until we're blue in the face, and they keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. But guess what? All of your talking and saying it repeatedly probably is not making a world of difference. It's information that they have, but the thing that you have been fussing about will not change until they know it for themselves. I also thought about in relationship to church. You all know that I'm a minister within the Christian denomination. And a lot of times when I used to teach Sunday school to teenagers, I would say, what is your relationship with God? Why did you give your life to Christ? And a lot of times the answers were because my parents told me to, or what my parents said. But they had not really embraced it. It was not real for them. It was their parents' message. It was their parents' faith. But how many of you know at some time in your life, if that's the road you're going to choose, you have to know it for yourself. You have to have your own experience. You can definitely be enlightened by someone else's testimony. You can definitely grow from things you've heard, but your own relationship, you have to know it for yourself. You may have been in a relationship with an intimate partner, or you may have met someone and your friends are like, girl, he ain't no good, or girl, she ain't no good. But that's not what you're experiencing. And the interesting thing is all those things they're saying about this, your partner, your spouse, you haven't seen any of that. And so you continue in the relationship because all those bad things they're talking about really don't matter, because you have to know it for yourself. And guess what? This is a perfect example of sometimes our friends and well-wishers give us advice that works for them, but that doesn't mean that it works for us. How many of you have had what I call dream destroyers? You shared your dream, your goals, your aspirations with people, and they're like, girl, you can't do that. How you going to do that? You don't even have fill in the blank. They're dream crushers. But guess what? When you know for yourself, when you know that you know that you know that this is where you have been called to be, when you know that you know that you know that this is the path that you should be on, you can look at them naysayers and hear their voices like wah, 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 because you know that you know that you know it for yourself. You know it for yourself. And when you know something for yourself, you can stand in that thing. And when challenging times comes, you can twist and turn with the waves of the challenge, but you don't let go. Because you know that you know that you know that this is where I am supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm getting excited about this because yesterday I had one of those moments where I knew what I knew. Well, it was actually the day before, where it was affirmed for me. I was trying to make a decision between two things, and I had been thinking about this thing for months, actually. And I heard a message 2 days ago, and what I gleaned from that message is I knew what my decision was. I knew that deep in my soul, deep in my spirit, the path that I needed to take. It's not the path that was laid out. It's not the path that's filled with surety like the other choice, but I know what I know, what I know. And I am at such peace, and I'm so happy. Even though I don't know what the next steps are, I don't know what the end will be, but I am excited that what I have been called to, that what resonates with me, that I am going to see that thing through, that I am excited about how it will manifest. I am ecstatic about how it will change not only my life, but the lives of others. And so with that, I invite you to trust your gut. When you know what you know, what you know, when you know it for yourself, you embrace that thing on purpose. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk with you all later. Bye-bye.